transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords.
If I don't, who will?
Welcome back, YouTubers. This is Richard back with you for another review, and today's featured game, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on the Nintendo Wii. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, originally published as the much easier to pronounce Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Meteor, was released in late 2007 on the PlayStation 2, as well as the console of this episode's focus, the Nintendo Wii. In my opinion, it should be apparent to anyone who's ever played this game as a Wii experience that Bandai has finally released a Dragon Ball Z fighter that truly captures the spirit of the enormously famous anime series on which the game is based. Even outdoing DBZ titles released later, such as Ultimate Tenkaichi and Raging Blast 2, both of which were not received well by fans, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is rich in content and boasts an impressive 161 character roster, the most of any Dragon Ball Z title ever released, and a main contender as one of the most extensive rosters of any fighting game ever released. The roster includes fighters spanning the entire Dragon Ball universe, from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT, as well as manga-exclusive characters like Aurelie, and fighters created specifically for the game, such as the female Saiyan Fasha, and a Great Ape transformation for Nappa, as well as King Vegeta. But what is an impressive roster without solid controls and gameplay? Fortunately, this game's controls can range from simple to mildly complex depending on which of the several controller options you choose. Tenkaichi 3 can support the GameCube controller, but if you really want to live the Dragon Ball Z experience, you have to check out the Wii motion controls. The Wii controls are elegant but not easy, and spending the hour it takes to complete the tutorial is a must for any player who wants to enjoy this game properly. To me, it is an impressive notion that to launch the famous Kamehameha, the player must actually go through the motion of charging the blast and launching it. And it is all the more thrilling because the motion controls are for the most part rock solid. Unlike most Wii games, Tenkaichi's motion controls rely exclusively on the accelerometers in both the Wiimote and the Nunchuck, resulting in a highly responsive battle engine that will give you hours of addictive, enjoyable Dragon Ball Z fighting. Beyond the signature moves, there is a widespread set of motion controls that before long players will be masterfully incorporating into this Dragon Ball Z experience. You'll be sending your opponents flying, chasing after them, dodging Kai Blasts, and grabbing and throwing your opponents into buildings using mostly the motion of your hands. It's a really enjoyable experience.
I have to take this one out.
So, the controls are great, but what about the game's content? How is Bandai going to follow up Tenkaichi 2's 160-hour story? By cutting out all of the filler. They've replaced the extensive cutscenes with brief scenario explanations, and then they put the player into nearly every major battle that ever happened in the Dragon Ball Z universe. The story mode, now titled Dragon History, spans Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and even includes the battles from the non-canon movies that were released, such as the Tree of Might, the legendary Super Saiyan Brawly, and the arrival of Frieza's older brother, Cooler. But doesn't Dragon Ball Z involve Dragon Balls? Tenkaichi 3 sure does. As your character flies through buildings and demolishes mountains during the story battles, they might find one of the 7 Dragon Balls. Each time all 7 Dragon Balls are collected, players will have the option to summon one of the 3 Eternal Dragons, Shenron, the Namekian Dragon Purunga, or Red Shenron. Unfortunately, the player doesn't choose which dragon gets to be summoned, but each dragon has a list of very, very cool prizes, including new maps to fight on, certain characters that can be made selectable, as well as items for the Evolution Z. Tenkaichi 3 boasts a wide selection of game mode options, including Dragon World Tour that features famous tournaments from the series, Duel Mode, and a very crappy online feature. My favorite mode in the game is Mission 100. Mission 100 is a list of 100 battles against enemy parties customized by the game. Players are allowed to assemble teams to defeat each battle based on certain parameters, and believe me, these fights can be excruciatingly difficult. One last nugget of content that I believe is worth mentioning is the character reference list. This list contains a brief history as well as voice clips and funny commentary for every character on the roster, and it's a feature that I believe adds a real sense of authenticity to this immensely deep fighter. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Nintendo Wii is a game that I don't believe really got the recognition it deserved. When it was released a month after Tenkaichi 2, it was only $20, $10 less than its predecessor. By now, the game has gotten fairly rare, and copies of it for the Wii can hit a staggering $60 plus on internet auction sites. Luckily, I picked up my copy for a bargain, but the extensive content as well as the totally immersive experience brought to life through rock-solid motion controls make Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Nintendo Wii a game I would have quite happily shelled out big bucks for. If you are a fan of the Dragon Ball Z universe, I urge you to get your hands onto this game for the Nintendo Wii. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.